Hey guys, welcome back to Follow Me 11B. Discussions on current events, macroeconomics, and freedom and liberty from a veteran's perspective. And today's topic of the day, we're going to talk about monkeypox. What are my chances or my kids' chances of contracting this virus? If I do contract it, what does it look like? How long does it take to recover? Am I going to die? Spoiler alert, probably not. But before I get to that, just be sure to please consider subscribing to the channel. Smash down on that thumbs up under this video or the punching bag if you're watching on Rumble. Now, before we get to the meat and potatoes of today's video, I just wanted to give everybody an update. I did return from my 3-day biking odyssey. 3 days, 3 cities. I did over 139 miles. A lot of fun, a lot of adventure. And one thing I came back with, though, that I thought might be interesting for people to hear about was something called Handlebar Palsy, which apparently I've had before because I've noticed these same symptoms, but I didn't ever know what it was. And what it is after you're biking for long periods of time, due to the compression on your handlebars, your hands sometimes, like in my case, this hand, my ring finger and my pinky finger, and part of this area of the hand, just on the edge, pins and needles. It's been like that for almost a week now. Now, that said, today is the like 5.5 days since I stopped biking. And it's sort of getting back to normal, I can tell. The pins and needles sensation is less. So hopefully by tomorrow or the next day it'll be gone. But I've read that it can take weeks for this to go away. Now, in the past, I've had this before. I never really knew what it was. And I just kind of shook it off. And but I had some time to kill while I was waiting for my safety ride. So I looked it up, and it is indeed a thing called handlebar palsy. So if you feel the urge, look up handlebar palsy on Google, and I'm sure you'll find some interesting information if you're a biker. But now for today's topic of the day, let's talk monkeypox, and let's go straight to an NPR news article entitled, "What are your chances of catching monkeypox?" It's from September 16, 2022 by Max Barnhart and Micheline Ducleft. And it goes like this. The concerns about catching monkeypox come at a time when the CV-19 pandemic is still in force, with over 300,000 cases reported daily across the globe and over 10,000 deaths per week. So how can people get a clear idea what their chances are of contracting monkeypox? And let's see here, it talks a little bit about the data that they have now. They don't have great data, but how we crunch the numbers, but there are ways to determine how much of a risk monkeypox poses to the general population and to certain segments of the population. Risk of disease is typically expressed as 1 out of a larger number. For example, approximately 1 in 8 women are at risk of contracting breast cancer, which is a remarkably high risk factor. Such calculations are typically based upon data collected over the course of a year and in where the number of people contracting the disease is relatively predictable. We don't have a whole year's worth of monkeypox data to look at for this current outbreak, and global case rates were lower in May than they were in August. Since the latter months reflect current spread, we've restricted our monkeypox calculations to available data from mid-July through August when cases began peaking. So we'll skip it down to this. Gay, bisexual, and other men who have sex with men were also more likely to catch monkeypox in August than to have been hospitalized with CV-19 if they were fully vaccinated, or to have died in a car crash last year. So that's kind of putting some of this into perspective. Let's continue here. The CDC estimates that half of monkeypox cases in the U.S. are spread through what characterizes as one-time sexual partnerships. So a risk factor that can clearly be mitigated if you use your head. The CDC reports that 17 children from ages 15 or younger have caught monkeypox in the U.S. last month, out of a population of over 60 million children. So the chances of your child catching monkeypox are about 1 in 3.5 million. Now that is more likely to happen than being attacked by a shark, roughly 1 in 110 million, but it is still highly unlikely. Yeah, I think so. Let's skip over to here. Only about 1 in 2 million people in the general population caught monkeypox from mid-July to mid-August. So even if you're not in the high-risk population here in the U.S., this is interesting, you're still at higher risk than the average person in Nigeria. Let me repeat that. Even if you're not in the high-risk population here in the U.S., you're still at a higher risk than the average person in Nigeria. Officials from the Nigerian CDC claim that there is currently no evidence of ongoing sexual transmission of monkeypox in the country. So, wow. All right, here, let's continue. It is clear when comparing monkeypox to CV19 that most people still have a greater risk of being affected by CV19. Roughly 1 in 4,000 vaccinated individuals are ending up in the hospital with CV19 each month. That's mostly people who are aged 65 and older. Now, with all that said, it appears that monkeypox cases in the U.S. are beginning to decline, and then that's a slightly greater percentage of cases are occurring in people in the low-risk categories for reasons that aren't yet clear. So let's move on to Forbes article from September 20th, 2022, entitled "Monkeypox Could Cause Neurological Issues Like Nerve Pain and Brain Inflammation, Researchers Warn." It's by Robert Hart. Let's see here. The global outbreak of monkeypox and linked vaccination campaign could lead to a spate of neurological issues like nerve pain, seizures, brain inflammation, and mood disorders like anxiety and depression. A group of scientists warned in a review of research published Tuesday in JAMA Neurology, urging further research into the poorly understood disease as the number of new cases in the U.S. falls. So just, my initial take on that is bad news for the mental health providers and industry. I mean, it might be good news for the providers, in dollars and cents, but I mean, for the country as a whole, more mental health problems, more depression, more anxiety, which were already through the roof due to this, the last pandemic, the current pandemic. I don't even know what they're going to call it anymore. Some say it's over. Issues like nerve pain, seizures, encephalitis, brain inflammation, and mood disturbances, including anxiety and depression, are well-documented complications of infections with viruses like smallpox that are closely related to monkeypox, researchers said in a peer-reviewed paper. While few major neurological issues have been reported during the global monkeypox outbreak, the researchers warned that similar complications are to be expected in monkeypox patients and urged clinicians to be vigilant. Growing data from the outbreak, which has predominantly affected men who have sex with men, indicates the virus is almost exclusively spreading through sex between men and has a different set of symptoms than in previous outbreaks. Now, a little bit about the pediatric angle here. So let us jump to an Insider News article from September 19th by Hilary Brueck entitled "A Newborn's Mysterious Rash Stumped ER Doctors for Days. It Turned Out to be Monkeypox." In August, a 2-month-old baby showed up at Florida emergency room with raised red rash present on its arms, legs, and trunk. Doctors weren't sure what was going on with the child, and their routine tests for bacterial causes of the rash, as well as viruses including chickenpox, HIV, and herpes, all came back negative. When the baby returned to the ER 2 days later, that rash, now a week old, had developed pox-like lesions all over the infant's body, and many of the bumps had a distinctive dot in the center. It's important. This must be the molluscum contagiosum, the providers thought. It's a relatively common childhood infection transmitted via skin-to-skin contact, which doesn't typically require much treatment. But over the next few days, the baby's bumps began to fill with pus. The pox spread over the child's back, the soles of their feet, face, and eyelids. The providers decided to perform a different test, which confirmed 10 days after the rash initially surfaced that this is actually monkeypox. Let's see here. So jumping down. Analyzing the case, CDC officials explain how the newborn contracted the virus and emphasize that this is a rare event in the current outbreak. The infant received both antiviral drug T-pox and an IV drip of disease-fighting antibodies called immunoglobulin. The child did not develop a fever, tolerated the treatments well, and fully recovered, CDC investigators said Monday in their news report. Let's see here. I'm going to skip over to a couple pages in. In this case, the baby likely got the monkeypox from very close, sustained daily contact with one of its 4 main caregivers. The man, identified only as caregiver B in the new CDC report, had developed a fever, blood in his urine, as well as a rash visible on his body during the 3-week period before the baby developed any symptoms. Caregiver B tested positive for orthopox virus. That's also likely monkeypox 2 days after the baby tested positive. None of the baby's 3 other caregivers got sick with monkeypox. They all received the Jynneos, Jynneos vaccine, as of 22 days later, none of them have contracted the virus. All right, so my quick thoughts on this. First of all, if you are a caregiver for a baby and you develop lesions all over your body and blood in your urine, don't be swaddling an infant. I mean, that's step one. I mean, you've got the symptoms. Stay the heck away from small children. Also, probably stay the heck away from other people in general. Also, fun fact I noticed while I was looking through some articles to research this video, but what they also recommend, stay away from your pets. So not only can, it's typically transmitted from monkeys to people, hence the monkeypox, but you can apparently transmit it to pets, or at least they don't know if you can't transmit it to pets yet. So I would steer clear of your dog and cat if you have raised lesions filled with pus that have little dots in the center of them, and so forth. But let me get to a few other odds and ends here. Here's some CDC statistics, the tongue twister, from September 14th. In the U.S., 24,572 cases and 1 death. Worldwide, 64,916 cases. So, in a nutshell, cases are still going up worldwide, but it appears that they've stabilized somewhat in the U.S., maybe even declining. Maybe too early to tell at this point, but that said, over 24,000 cases and 1 death. This is a virus that you're very likely to not die from. Again, here's a few other statistics I came through. I looked up how the recovery time, even if you don't go to the doctor, 2 to 4 week recovery time. And you recover when your skin rash and your scabs all fall off. They've covered with new skin. You don't have any of the symptoms. Symptoms include fever, chill, swollen lymph nodes, exhaustion, muscle and or backache, headache, respiratory symptoms such as sore throat, nasal decongestion, and cough. And then here's another fun fact. 4 to 21 days to produce the illness after exposure. So you might be exposed to something like probably this baby was by the caregiver, and then 3 weeks later the symptoms actually start. But you can obviously get this disease from close physical contact, swaddling a baby, cuddling, sexual activity, so forth, kissing, it looks like, because it can be transmitted through saliva, and respiratory secretions. What's that? I guess it's not exactly airborne. It's not exactly airborne. What it is if I'm talking to you and I'm close up to you and some of my saliva, comes out of my mouth, even in a mist form that you can't even see, and enters your mouth, or even in your eyes or your nose, you could be infected with this virus. So use your head. Keep your body as strong as possible. Again, I will say it again and again. If you can, keep your immune system strong by taking vitamins, by taking a walk, by taking a bike ride, by going for a hike, by going for a run, by lifting weights, whatever you happen to do. Go on that diet that you've been planning on going on for a while. It will more than likely help you pull through much faster than if you don't do these things. But that said, I don't think so, but I could be wrong. Please post your comments below. Let me know what you think about monkeypox, the chances of you, your kids, your neighbors being infected. Are you worried about school for the children? Are you worried about some of these other symptoms such as anxiety, depression, nerve pain that might present even after this goes away? But in the meantime, check us out. We are growing. We are follow me 11B on YouTube, Facebook, Gettr, Twitter, and we are also at the real Follow Me 11B on Instagram and Rumble. And it's too many platforms to remember. We will see you all on the next video.